Hi guys, this is Cal with the Open Games Network bringing you a review of the DayZ Standalone Alpha and whether or not you should be buying it at this time. First thing I'll say about the game is that it is in alpha, and you'll notice that the first thing that you are greeted with when you boot up the game is an alpha message saying basically that you need to understand that the game isn't finished and there are going to be bugs, there are going to be problems, and if you're not okay with that, well, if you're seeing it by this point, you shouldn't have bought the game basically, but you'll actually see this message when you're prompted to buy the game. Anyway, it does say that on the page, so I would bear that in mind before you purchase it. But other than that, listen to this video and I'll give you a few tips and a little bit of commentary about what the game's actually like, what it offers, what you can do with it, and ultimately whether or not you should be buying this game, whether it's right for you, whether it's right for your PC and your general playstyle. So I hope you enjoy this, guys. And we'll just cut into it straight from here. Now, as you can see, the character that I'm playing on here does have a good bit of, I would like to say, high-end gear, because I think on this game, having a set of guns and the army camo gear, that's pretty good. So basically, I'm going to talk here about, first of all, the way the game actually runs on PCs, because I think this is a very important thing, and everyone should take into account whether or not their PC is actually going to be able to handle this. So first off, what I want to say is, I've played this game on an AMD PC and an Intel PC. If you have an Intel PC and you're using either an AMD or an NVIDIA card, it doesn't really matter. You should be fine. As long as the CPU is relatively modern, I think any Core 2 or above, you're probably going to be fairly set for this game. And the reason for that is that the game runs better on Intel processors due to their single-threaded performance. It seems to be a lot better with this engine, and that's actually the engine. It's not necessarily DayZ. DayZ does need to be optimized, but the engine does as well. Now, if you're on an AMD build and you're using an AMD CPU, I would recommend staying away from this game just now, just because it's not running that greatly. I mean, this footage is taken from an Intel, the Intel build that I've got now, which is, it's much better for this game. That's why I bought it, was actually for DayZ, because I was unhappy with the performance I was getting on my AMD machine, and I am not the only person that I've known of to actually buy a new PC to play this game because of how badly it runs on AMD. Now, in terms of graphics card performance, the NVIDIA one is probably going to be a little bit better. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but my experience with the NVIDIA card has been a little bit better than the AMD one. There's been no sort of stuttering with the NVIDIA card, and with my AMD 7950, I did experience a bit of stuttering, and I know that was down to the graphics card, but I'm not sure why it was happening. In some of my other games, I also experienced the same stuttering issue, so I know that it's an AMD problem, and I was on the latest drivers, so this is another one of those games that NVIDIA is going to come out slightly on top. Now for the combat system. Now obviously, as I said before, the game's in alpha, so you can't expect it to have a perfect combat system. However, I would say that for an alpha game, the combat system in this game is it's really good. In fact, even for a release quality game that needs a few patches, the combat system's, it's not bad. You can run around killing zombies quite easily, as long as you have guns, because when you have melee weapons, it's a completely different story. It's very difficult to play this game with melee weapons, and I find that when you actually come across other players, if you get into a firefight with them, actually having a firefight with them can be very difficult. Sometimes the bullets don't register, sometimes the people seem to float about and walk through walls, even if they're not hacking. It's actually it's quite annoying. They run around and it's extremely difficult to shoot them, but you might get quite used to that and become an absolute beast. Essentially, what I'm trying to say about the combat system is that it's relatively good. I think you'll enjoy the combat in the game as long as you get a gun, because you're going to die and die and die when you're running around with no gun. I am playing on my own, however, and I will say that this game's a lot better when you play it with friends, even though, and this is a very good point, if you do not have hours and hours of time to play this game, then don't get it, because if you want to play this with friends, it is going to take you most likely half an hour to an hour to find your friends, depending on where they actually are, because you have to walk from one end of the map, depending on where you spawn, usually to one of the cities, and the most popular seem to be Electro and Cherno, and I spawned very far away from that, and you'll get used to the map if you play it, but it did take me a good 30 minutes last night to find my friends who I wanted to play with, and I would definitely take that into account as a reason not to buy this game if you were at all worried about the amount of time that you have to play it. In terms of solo play, I don't completely recommend this game. It's pretty fun if you want to immerse yourself and you just want to run around killing people, because you can run around and you could be a bandit on your own, but it's going to get pretty wearing unless you're a supremely dedicated person. It's going to get very wearing to just run around essentially doing nothing, picking up guns and items, but all you're doing is shooting a few zombies and you're not really getting to do much. Yeah, it'll be fun to explore the world, but it's not that fun to just run around doing nothing. At least that's what I think. Personally, I prefer to play this game with friends. You may be different. As for the price, I think that the price is a bit steep and they're asking a little bit much for it, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to buy the game because it's a little bit steeper than it should be. It's still a good game. It's just that it should have been a little bit cheaper in my opinion. I feel that it should have been more like Minecraft and it should have been a tenner. It should have been a little bit less, maybe half the price, perhaps 25% less. I know Rust is £15 and Rust, well that's a topic for a different video, but Rust maybe shouldn't be £15. This maybe should be £15, if you get what I'm saying. So let's just have a quick recap, shall we? If you're talking about the performance that you're going to get on the PC, obviously this is alpha. The performance is not great yet on either end of the spectrum, but it is considerably better on the Intel end, and at the moment, if you're running AMD, I would not recommend getting this game. And as for playability, as I was talking about earlier, I would say that if you've got a good, solid group of people to play this with that are going to get right into it and enjoy it, then you definitely need to buy this game. However, if you are playing it on your own, you've got to bear in mind that it's going to wear fast, and it is £20. There are better games that you can get for that money that would be better to play single player. It's not a good single player game, put it that way. It's not fun as a single player. It can be maybe for like 15 minutes, but you're going to get bored of it. You're going to want to switch off. So just bear that in mind. Anyway guys, based on the information that I have given you in this video, I hope that you can make your own decision on whether or not you want to buy DayZ. And I would like it if you posted in the comments telling me if you've decided because of this video to buy it or not to buy it. Because I'm not completely saying here that you shouldn't buy the game, and I'm not completely saying that you should buy it. This is down to you, it's your opinion, and I want you to make the decision from this video whether or not the game is going to be right for you. Let me know in the comment section below whether or not this is affecting your decision to buy DayZ, and as always, don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe to the Open Games Network for more gaming news and reviews. Cheers guys.